Nikita Hand was only in it for the money. It was a shakedown. It was a money grab. Let's talk about that. A lot of the commentary there over the last week or 10 days or fortnight of the Nikita Hand and Conor McGregor case, a lot of the comment online, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, elsewhere, were suggesting that this was a shakedown by Nikita Hand, that it was a money grab, that she only brought the case for the money. Anybody who says that needs to understand how civil litigation works. And this case is a case of civil litigation. Most cases of civil litigation, and I am involved in these types of cases, not assault, not rape, not stuff like, you know, Conor McGregor and parties and stuff like that. I'm involved in ordinary civil litigation cases involving personal injuries, disputes, rows. Civil litigation is civil disputes, civil legal proceedings. And invariably, the vast majority of these cases get settled. They get settled because the cost of going to court and having a day in court is very, very expensive, because it's a question of winner takes all in terms of legal costs. So if you go and you think you have a good case, but if you lose, then you're going to have to pay not just your own legal costs, but the other side's legal costs. And then there's the question of washing your dirty linen in public and opening up perhaps a whole Pandora's box of activity and conduct that you mightn't be proud of. So generally civil litigation cases settle, the vast majority, not sure what the percentage is, but it could be 70% or thereabouts. The case of Nikita Hand versus Conor McGregor and James Lawrence didn't settle. And if you think about it logically, is it likely that Conor McGregor would have tried to settle this case? Well, let's look at that logically. Firstly, we were looking at a serious allegation of rape, and we were looking at an uncovering of and a dissection of activity that, you know, really reflected poorly on everybody involved. It was a pretty sordid affair. And so McGregor or any other defendant, his co-defendant, Mr. Lawrence, would have been concerned about the airing of a lot of this stuff in public and people having a laugh and poking fun and looking under the weeds, or into the weeds as it were, looking under the rocks and seeing a lot of stuff that you mightn't be proud of the day after or the week after. That's the first thing. So McGregor would have had a significant motivation to settle this case. The question then is he able to, or was he able to settle the case? The way cases are settled is it comes down to money. It simply comes down to compensation, and it comes down then to an offer to settle the case, compromise the proceedings, pay the other side's legal costs, the legal costs for the person who had to bring the case, and that's the end of it. Nobody is any the wiser. You might be lighter by a few bob, a few 100,000 or whatever, but everything is kept quiet, it's confidential. Always with legal proceedings, the fact of settlement, etc., and the details of the settlement, the conditions of settlement, would never be disclosed, and that's the basis of it. So Conor McGregor would have been looking at a case here where it had serious potential to do reputational damage to him. And obviously there's the whole question then of his own relationship with his partner or his fiancée, with his family, with the wider community, with his fans and so on. It doesn't look great. It's not a good look to have somebody suing you for rape. So the likelihood is, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out, the likelihood is that Conor McGregor would have tried to settle this case. Now, I'm not certain about that, but I'm simply drawing on my own experience of ordinary civil litigation every day of the week, and you know, that's the way it works. Cases get settled, the vast majority get settled, and as I say, the motivation for settling is even greater when there's a potential for reputational damage. the likelihood is, therefore, I think it's reasonable to assume that Conor McGregor would have tried to settle this case. Now, rumours went round online, social media and so on. Various figures were bandied about. I have no idea about those figures, know nothing about them. The only people who would know about them would be the legal teams involved. Okay? But I'm presuming that the natural thing is that McGregor would have tried to settle it. Nikita Hand, on the other hand, was looking at a situation where there was going to be a lot of prurient interest into what happened at the party. There would be a lot of criticism. There would be a lot of looking at her conduct, at her situation with her former boyfriend, at her activity or conduct in engaging in partying and the Christmas party that went on for days and so on. So you have all of these people online tapping away on keyboards, making comments, making very derogatory and indeed defamatory comments in some situations about Nikita Hand. And she would have been, or would have been told about this, would have been aware of this, I would have thought, that this whole thing was going to generate a significant amount of publicity and a significant amount of interest. It would be interesting to many people online, interest to the media, print media, radio, TV, etc., etc. So she would have known all that. So here is a woman who, I presume, was offered significant money to settle this case and didn't. And what she faced then was a barrage, I think it was, 12 days, was it 15 days of a case in the High Court, walking in and walking out with her partner, with photographers, with media, with all of the commentary online, with all of the people making decisions online about the decisions that she made, with the criticism, with the judgment of her morals, with the judgment of her decision making, and in addition to that, the looking at the medical evidence. Significant medical evidence was opened up in this case to the general public, and Nikita Hand's particular medical circumstances were discussed ad nauseum. And so the medical records, I mean, who wants their medical history, their medical records looked at in the naked light of day, in the glare of publicity in the High Court or wherever else? So on the one hand, you have a person who has significant reputational damage and who has a significant amount of money. And on the other hand, you have a lady who is going to have her private life, her life, especially over these 2 or 3 days, picked over and forensically examined by all sorts of slack-jawed, staring fools online, slobbering over keyboards. And yet, the case wasn't settled. The case wasn't compromised. She went ahead with it. So, for that reason, I believe that it wasn't a shakedown. She wasn't doing it just for the money. I think she did feel a sense of having her day in court, a sense of saying, this isn't right, this man did this to me, and I'm going to show society at large what he did, and I'm not going to be bought off, and I'm going to have my day, I'm going to have my say, even though it's going to bring with it all of the attendant publicity, all of the layer of publicity, the forensic examination of her decisions, of her medical situation, her medical records, her post-traumatic stress and so on. So, you know, people can say what they like in terms of it being a shakedown or it being all about the money, but for the life of me, I cannot see how this case ended up in court for the want of settlement proposals by McGregor's team, or by McGregor. Because let's face it, McGregor had the motivation, he had the fear of the reputational damage, and he had, in addition, the money. And that's all you need to settle a case. All you need is the money. Then he had it in spades, has it in spades. But what he doesn't have now is his reputation. Anyway, hope you liked the video. hit the thumbs up button down below if you like it, and you may be interested in subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot.